Hello, this is Mr. Red Fox, and this is a review of Shang Chi. So, this is a movie review, not a video game review or a book review. So, for those of you who are new to the channel, my format for my reviews is the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good pertaining to what I liked about the film, the bad, just little negatives, and the ugly is just asides that I have for the film. There will be a spoiler section for this film at the end of the video, so once I get past the first three sections, the spoiler section will begin, and you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. So without much ado, let's get into it after the cut. So, Shang-Chi is your quintessential origin story for Shang-Chi in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, they took a lot of elements from the comics and spliced them together to make this, so it's not a one-to-one translation from the page to whatever. Let's see, I'm going to turn off this light. Okay, that's better. So it's not a one-to-one translation. With that being said, it's still pretty faithful to the comics, mostly, except they swapped out who his father is. In the comics, Shang-Chi's father was Fu Manchu, and then they later retconned it to the Mandarin. And that's basically what they did in this film, so I guess that's kind of cool, but let's get into what I like about the film. Template-wise, structurally, the film is very similar to Black Panther. Structurally, it's very similar to Black Panther, where you have a character who is considered basically the heir to his father, and them struggling to take that mantle. In Black Panther, an inversion, Shang-Chi is an inversion of that template in terms of, T'Challa really wanted to be a good king like his father was, whereas what Shang-Chi's going into is basically taking over the Ten Rings organization that his father created. The Ten Rings, which is a criminal organization of monumental strength and prowess. The main villain of the film, well, not the main villain. The main villain that you think is the main villain of the film in the beginning is Tony Leung as Wenwu, aka the Mandarin. Tony Leung brings a lot of gravitas to that character. Like, basically, anytime you see Tony Leung in a film, you know you're going to get some quality work, and he does not disappoint. Literally, Tony Leung's one of the best villains I've seen the Marvel Universe have, and it's a shame they can't really use him to his full potential, but he is a he is a terrifying. His version of the Mandarin is terrifying. It's like, shit, I would not want to fuck with that guy. Now, I do have some negatives about his portrayal of the character, but that will be in the next section. Simu Liu as Shang-Chi, he's adequate. The film isn't really primarily his movie. It's basically building a lot of world building and exposition, which kind of sucks. Because it really should have just been about him, maybe his sister, but whatever. But overall, the film is pretty well made. Ultimately, like so many films that I tend to like and gravitate towards, it's about family. It's about a young man, basically finding his own path that's different from what his parents may have wanted him to do. And, I like stories like that. I like shit like The Godfather and Dune and films that are about families and, difficult family dynamics. And this film has that. It's basically the overall gist of the story is that the Mandarin, basically got everything he wanted materially in this world, and he decided, well, hell, I found out about this mystic village where all these mystic magical creatures live. I'm gonna take over that shit too. Unfortunately, when he goes there, he's defeated by one of the guardians, and he gets his ass kicked, and he's like, well, shit, this woman can kick my ass. Well, hell, she's kind of hot. Well, shit, I'm going to come back. So he starts whining and dining her, and she leaves the village and winds up having a couple of kids. And, obviously this is a Marvel story, so there's not going to be a happy ending. And, aspects of her husband's past comes back. He's away from home. Some dudes come, murder the shit out of her. And, he's like, well, you know what? I tried to give up that life, but you guys, you made it like this. And so he puts back on his 10 rings and proceeds to start rebuilding his 10 ring army. And that's the overall gist of the story. He later figures out, he's later given some type of mystical hint that his wife is being kept behind some gate in the mystical village where she's from. Turns out that's not quite the case, but he thinks it. And he's going to use his army to open up this gate, get his wife back, get his family back together. Of course, it's never that easy. So with that being said, this obviously is going to bring him into conflict with his 2 kids and the guardians and what's left of his wife's family. His wife apparently had a sister that stayed in this mystical magic village. So, that's basically the film. It's a little bit of globe-trotting between the U.S. and Hong Kong and mystic China, and that's it. Ends with a big battle between the good guys and the bad guys, and but it's like mystic China, good guys, bad guys, so it's pretty good. So overall, I liked the film. The musical score was appropriate. Tony Leung and the lady who plays their aunt of Shang Chi and his sister in this film, they add a lot of gravitas to the film. They even have one of the guys who plays one of the Guardians in the film also played in a lot of Hong Kong action films back in the day. You may most remember him as the male half of of Paris and Troy in Kung Fu Hustle, the master of Boneless Fist or whatever. Anyway, there's a lot of good in this film. The special effects are great. The score is great. The acting is pretty good. The action is pretty good. The CGI is there, but it's not like, oh my god, this CGI is completely fake. It's not as bad as like the CGI that was in Age of Ultron, which was overbearing and took over the film. The CGI is just good enough. So that being said, let's get to the bad after the cut. So here we go with the bad. The bad in this film is, this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of the Mandarin. If you're a fan of the comics, you know that the Mandarin in the comics, like each of the Mandarin's 10 rings grants a special ability. Like one gives eternal life, the other one gives eternal youth. Another one gives superhuman strength. Another one gives magical perception. Another one gives you immunity to poisons. Another one gives you immunity to mental magic manipulation. Another one basically gives you the ability to sway fate around you. Another one gives you like superhuman magical abilities. Another one, they each grant different abilities, and each one calls out to the other. So if you have one, you're going to try and find the other ones. And each consecutive ring geometrically increases the power of every single other ring. So if you have one ring and then you get another one, your power is multiplied geometrically. However, once you have all 10, it's exponentially. So it's a lot of insane abilities in the comics. Once again, Marvel has weakened the abilities of a character in order to tell an interesting story. And I'm like, I can't. This will be at the end in the spoiler section, but this film would have been so much better if it had just been the conflict between a father and his children versus what it turned into at the end. It's like, man, this would have been great. I was really feeling it, and then they just fucked it up. But that's Marvel. They got to set things up. So yeah, that's my only real beef with the movie. Like I said, the music is great. This is one of the few Marvel soundtracks that I think I will get the movie soundtracks that I will get the soundtrack the soundtrack for, because it's actually pretty cool. I'll probably get the digital version because my record player died. My brand new record player my girlfriend got 3 years ago for me died, so I got to get a new one. But yeah, that's the only bad negative thing I can say about it, is that, the Mandarin Wenwu is the strongest part of this movie, but also the weakest part of this movie. And it basically, the ending is a little like, they're trying to do too much and yet too little at the same time, but I can't really go that far into it until the spoiler section. So without much ado, that was the bad. We'll get to the ugly after the cut. So, I'm hearing a lot of chatter amongst critics that the first half of this film is pretty good. The second half kind of falls apart. I disagree. I think the first two acts in this film are pretty good. The last act is where it falls apart. The first act is okay. The second act is great. The third act is where it starts to fall apart. And once again, that's because Marvel is setting up other Marvel shit. Because that's what Marvel always does. They love setting up other Marvel shit. So that's kind of like the flaw of the film. That's the only real ugly. Oh, no, that's not true. The other thing that I'm hearing from people is they're like, well, I don't like the mystical portion where they get to the magic, mystical China land with the different creatures and shit. Your appreciation of that section will be more or less hinged upon your appreciation for traditional Chinese mythological literature, stuff like that. Like people who were saying, well, in the trailer they showed Fin Fang Foom. That wasn't Fin Fang Foom. That was a fucking flood dragon from Chinese mythology. The dragon horses you see walking around at certain portions in the film are Quillins, stuff like that. There's a lot of like Chinese mythology in this film. So if you're a fan of Chinese mythology or wuxia literature, this shit's great. You're totally gonna get it. If you're not, then. But it is pretty interesting. So if you're if you're into wuxia, here's where it goes. And that's the only ugly portion I can really think of. So we'll get to the spoilers. Will be at the very end, so I'm gonna do the pitch and everything like that with the next section, and then spoilers will be after that, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, let's get to it after the cut. So, upcoming events. So, we have nothing really big. Like I said, or you may or may not know, I had to completely reinstall my OS on my computer. I have no idea why. Some shit went down. Less said about it is better, but so I've basically lost some of my work. So like I'm basically having to go and reinstall a lot of stuff back on my PC. So the re-review of Fallout New Vegas is still incoming. I will probably have that up next Friday. We'll get back into that. After that, I will do a re-review of the original Psychonauts and other games if you guys so choose. So that being said, we have our podcast every Wednesday and Saturday. This Saturday, we're going to be talking Activision Blizzard fucking up yet again. We're going to be talking about how to get Star Wars back on brand. We're going to talk about the new Ghostbusters trailer, which Afterlife, which actually, the more I see this trailer, the more I'm like, this could be good. It could be good. I don't know. It could be. Conceivably, it could be good. I mean, knock on wood. So that being said, spoilers will be after the cut, where I will go into spoilers about Shang Chi. If you do not want to see the spoilers, leave now. Okay. You've been warned. After this cut. Okay, so here's the spoiler section, where I'm just gonna get all out. I don't have a laundry list of complaints about Shang-Chi, because things that I thought I was going to complain about, like Awkwafina being the sidekick character, she's actually not annoying. She is a good audience avatar for what you would be thinking if you were in that situation. So she's actually pretty useful. There's a good life lessons in the film. Overall the film is pretty good, but its greatest strength is having Tony Leung as the Mandarin. Its greatest weakness is having Tony Leung as the Mandarin. Let me explain. I kind of hinted at this earlier in the review. The Mandarin in the comics has his 10 rings, his 10 mystical rings, increases power. Each one increases his overall personal power. Each one has a special ability, like protection against mental magic control, enhanced magic abilities, all that type of cool shit. They nerfed the Mandarin in this film so that they could have him get mind controlled by an evil deity hidden behind a gate in the Mystic China realm so that he could open it so that there could be this war. It's like, man, this film would have been so much better if it had just been the conflict between the Mandarin, Wenwu, and his children. It was like, this family drama is great. It's crunchy. It's uncomfortable. It's like, I'm loving this. Ugh. And they ruined it. It's like Marvel's like, no, we gotta have mystic monsters and shit. It's like, come on, bruh, don't do this. Don't. I was enjoying the family genre, the family drama. I was enjoying the uncomfortableness. I was enjoying the Shang-Chi fighting against himself. Like, I don't want to be what my father wants me to be. And, his sister's like, well, my father didn't let me take control of the shit. Like, I was enjoying the family drama. It was really, this is so uncomfortable. I'm loving it. And they fucked it up in the last act of the film. It was just like, well, you fucked it up. And that's, when I say they fucked it up, it wasn't like, oh my God. It wasn't like how they fucked up the Mandarin in the original Iron Man, or how they fucked up the 10 rings in the original Iron Man, or the Iron Man trilogy, or how they fucked up the Master in Doctor Strange. It was more like Marvel couldn't help themselves copping out instead of it being this family genre, drama. I keep on mixing drama with genre. Anyway, that's my only real. And they kill the Mandarin at the end. Why does Marvel keep on killing their most interesting villains? Killmonger, the Mandarin. It's like, man, stop killing your best villains. That's what makes the Mandarin so awesome, is he's such a great villain. Like, in the comics, let me explain how badass the Mandarin is in the comics. Iron Man, the Mandarin was originally Iron Man's like major villain. In modern retellings of the Iron Man story, the reason that Iron Man has the fucked up heart and was attacked and all that shit is because the Mandarin hit him with a chest blast with his 10 rings on. In the comics, they're just like rings you put on your fingers, not like armbands, but you know, whatever. And that's why Iron Man got fucked up. Iron Man, despite all of his technology, has never, in a one-on-one fight, beaten the Mandarin. Oh, he's foiled his plans. He's never beaten him with all of his armor and tech and all that shit. That's how badass the Mandarin is in the comics. And they give us this neutered Mandarin. And not because, oh, he found love and had kids. It's just in terms of the power that his rings give him. Wasn't happy about that. I let it slide because overall the movie is pretty good. So with that being said, that's the end of this spoiler section. So with that, I bid you adieu. Have a nice day.